Hey guys, Pet Zergling here with Daz, bringing you Game 2 of the last series in the quarterfinals. This is forGG versus Stork, and the whole time I was really looking forward to this series, but Nada Jangvi was just so good, so this is going to be hard to top, and the first game was extremely one-sided, Stork pretty much dominating it start to finish, but this I think is a good map for forGG to make a comeback on. It is Neo Harmony, not so much of a Terran favored map, but in a macro game I think it definitely is a little bit favored towards Terran, and that's forGG's style for sure. So I think we're going to see a real strong macro game from forGG, and I wouldn't be surprised to see another build kind of like that from Stork. Maybe not an all-in cheese or anything, but some sort of attack, because I think as the game goes on, even though Stork's macro is so good, I think forGG is going to have the edge. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of proxy Reaver. I guess when I say that because I saw Jangvi do it against Nada, so I guess it's viable on this map at least. So I guess, wow, we're going to get right into the game here. And this is Neo Harmony. I'm going to sync this up. 2, 1, 0. So what do you think? Do you think we're going to see... Well, I guess the big question would be, do you think that Stork can compete with forGG in a long macro game on this map?
Absolutely. I would not give forGG the edge in the long. I would say that he has a better chance against Stork. I think Stork's strength is earlier in the game, but I wouldn't say that he's the underdog in the late game either. I think Stork's late game management is really excellent as well. So I don't think that it really hurts him. The map is a little nicer for Terran in terms of just the so many cliffs. It's kind of open ground, which doesn't make it a carrier map or anything, but at the same time it has a lot of cliffs and ramps for the Terran to abuse, so that is pretty good. But it's not a big difference. This map does have the most Terran favorite stats, but it's not really indicative of any imbalance or anything. I think it's just
not like
to work out that way. Yeah, it's not really imbalanced or anything. Maybe it's slightly easier for Terrans, but it's not really.
Right. But I think just at the higher level of play, not to say that forGG is a lot better than Stork or even as good, but it's at such a high level, I think even small things can make a big difference, especially because
is true,
with games that are on maybe I mean, picture yourself in Stork's position. You're training so hard for 2 different tournaments, the OSL and MSL. You probably can't train this hard in some games, and I think if any map for me, I would probably train less for the big maps that I'm not the underdog on, but the least favored maps for me. I would probably just let some of those go. So that's at least why I say I wouldn't be surprised to see Stork do such a build, just because he's probably been training so hard for the other leagues.
But you know what though, Stork, when he does these early game aggression builds, I think these are the builds that he practices more than anything else. I mean, if we've seen in the past, especially in the OSL that he won, against Best and against Fantasy, the best builds he did and were the early aggression ones, and those were really planned out perfectly. I mean, they were meticulously planned out. I think that's just the way Stork plays. And you know, I'd have to say that Stork is a Protoss who's really strong in the early game, and not necessarily due to any cheese or anything, although he does cheese at times. He's got a really good sense of finding Terran weaknesses and exploiting it and breaking it. I don't mean just the early game as in just Zealot rushes. I mean, basically, you know, up until the point where Terran has his natural fully set up and perfectly defended, Stork is really dangerous. He's one of the best Protosses at breaking naturals, at finding holes, at, you know, Reaver harass, and so I think it's in his advantage to play a more aggressive game regardless of what map they're playing on. And I wouldn't say he has a disadvantage. It's not that I would say he has a disadvantage in the late game, I just say he does a much more clear advantage in the early game. So I kind of am expecting him to be a little more aggressive. I don't expect he's just going to go super standard opening. But at the same time, you know, I don't expect him to do anything too risky either. I mean, it's Stork after all. He's not, you know, he's not an underdog here. He's not going to do something stupid and throw a game away. As long as he's got a chance.
There's not a lot of Terrans that would put him in this situation to be an underdog.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is one thing I think I respect Stork, is because, look, he scouts forGG last and forGG scouts first, and looks like forGG is actually looking for a proxy robo there. Kind of strange, but Stork is going to have the unfortunate, I guess, planning is he's not going to be able to do that sort of early aggression that he wants to, at least up to some point, because he doesn't have any knowledge whatsoever of forGG's build, and for all he knows, he's doing the Noni 2 Marine build. And Oh, wow, that's really interesting. I'm not sure if Stork did a Zealot first, but Stork has a Zealot there. I didn't see it at first, but he's now blocking his ramp. And now a second gateway going down. So this is a really interesting build here from Stork. As you can see, he put down his second pylon before the gateway. So it's not a real heavy, aggressive build, but he can still get a lot of units out and put some pressure on forGG. And
it looks almost like it's going to be a 2-gate robot.
Yeah. It could be that he was maybe fearing some sort of build from forGG, maybe some sort of proxy or just some sort of two-factory, but it's a pretty safe build. I think 2-gate Robo into expand is probably the safest build, although it wouldn't put you in a great position in the macro game. It's definitely an extremely safe build to do early, and he's going to move up here. He's got a Zealot and 2 Dragoons. I don't know if that's such a good idea, considering you can't really, once you lose the Zealot, you can't really micro the Dragoons without range very well against the Marines. And second factory going down before eBay. forGG extremely safe that Stork isn't going to try anything cheesy here, and it seems like build order wise, if this goes into the macro game, it's going to benefit forGG. He's got his expansion up and running. I think Stork is now expanding, so Stork is just playing really safe here, and forGG placing his mines in a line, which is really against Dark Templars, and Stork is going to try and micro his mines down. Nice control from Stork, really nice. Clean mine pull there.
Yeah, that was really well done, but unfortunately now he's going to deal with these units. Oh, if he gets the Zealot to, oh my god, oh, he cleared, wow, he got 2 of them, he cleared almost all of the mines, but the most important thing is that Stork knows where that mine is, and he's going to be able to pick it off, and if he knows exactly where it is, it's not a problem to him. And this is exactly what Stork wanted with that early. Wow, he did that so well. It didn't even get close. This is why Stork did those 2 gates, man. But you know what?
He's got the Vulture in his base, though.
Wow, he got a Vulture, he ran it all the way in. What a guy. Stork chasing it with 9 pro.
What?
He's going to make forGG spend all of his attention on that Vulture in order to do damage. Okay, he's got some Dragoons out now, and that Vulture doesn't have any mines. Wow, if this command center goes down, forGG's going to be in a lot of trouble. I didn't realize how much damage is being done to this thing. He's got to save that command center, or else it's going to be GG right there. And he's pushing out now, and I guess he had to do it. I mean, you don't want to sacrifice units like that, but he had to do it. If he lost that command center, it would have been over. Oh my god, he cleared almost all the mines.
Oh!
I hope he doesn't...
Oh,
shit. Oh, that's
dang, he almost had the game there.
Yeah, if he had not lost those 2 Dragoons, he would have been able to finish off the CC, he would have been in his base, and that would have been game over. But either way, that's not too bad for Stork. I mean, even though he ran into a mine and lost Dragoons, he's forcing forGG to pull SCVs. I mean, Stork's got his Nexus up, he's mining off it. In the meantime, forGG is pulling SCVs in just to defend his main, he's got to pull SCVs, so he's in really rough shape. Oh my god, another big mine going off. Well, those Dragoons are really low. He's got to pull those away. He can't do any more damage with those. They could just get powered down by Vultures now.
I think Stork is getting too greedy. What do you think here? I mean, Stork's got his natural up and running, and forGG is forced to keep... Oh my god. He's going carriers.
Nice, I love it. Early
wow,
carriers,
2 base carriers. There's absolutely no way that forGG can defend this, because again, he did the same thing he did in game 1 in a sense, because he's just completely annihilating forGG's military presence, and forGG has no way that he can put any sort of aggression on Stork. So instead of building up a bunch of gateways and trying to attack, he's just going to use that time to build up some carriers, and Stork really can't attack him in that time window. Wow, for the most part, Stork has just dominated these mines. I mean, it seems like almost a bad move to go with the mine opening against Stork, just because his control is just so good. He takes out the mines so well. And now that there's almost 2 Stargates going up, forGG doing an excellent job, though, going up and putting up the mine contain. That's not something you really have the balls to do normally against a Protoss in this position, because you would at least expect that they would have a Robo Bay up and they'd be cleaning your mines, and you need to save them for defense, considering how far behind he is. But he's actually getting some mileage out of those mines, putting some damage on 2 Dragoons. I think he might have taken the shields off of the other one. So, and nice, he actually stops the 3rd base. So forGG, this is really why that he's such a good player, because even though maybe his control wasn't on the level that Stork's was, he's coming back and he knows exactly what he needs to do in this position. But one thing that the commentators are trying to point out for us is that he doesn't even have an academy, he has no scanners, he has no way to expect that Stork is going to go for this, so he's going to be caught completely off guard here by these carriers. And I have to imagine that Stork is probably going to build up a few carriers before he attacks, just because he knows how much of a surprise attack it's going to be for him. He might even not even have an armory if he's going for another fast 3rd base, and considering his academy isn't up yet.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's interesting to note. Okay, Stork, first of all, he doesn't even need a third base. For two Stargate carrier, you can
Right.
do it really. It's easy to go two Stargate carrier off of two base, and it's a really strong, get a really strong map control and really fuck up the Terran, and then start expanding. So he doesn't even need that third base. But the fact that he sends a probe there and he builds a pylon there, I think that's fooling forGG even longer into thinking that thinking that Stork is trying to play a standard game and probably thinking that he's delaying Stork. In reality,
Ooh,
he's not
Stork
really
doing the
delaying him
4
at all. Stork
probe on
doesn't give a
gas
shit
build.
about having a third base. Yeah, but the one thing that's in forGG's favor right now is the fact that, okay, we see an armory, an academy going down, and I think that was an armory up there earlier, so at least he's getting those buildings up, even though he's definitely still not going to be ready for these carriers. But the one thing that's in forGG's favor right now is the fact that he's got those mines around the map, and the fact that Stork hasn't cleared them yet. That should